Alright, it seems the boss is dead. We're just gonna go ahead and distribute the loot here.
I'm hoping for some teeth now.
There's no loot. I repeat, there is no
Someone wanted some loot,
Yeah.
Want some loot?
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna have to wait till next week. No loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot. No loot Sundays.
What is up, everybody? It has been one very exciting weekend. Welcome to No Loot Sundays. I am Brayole, joined as always by Fey. Fey, say hi so the people know you're alive.
How are you guys doing tonight?
It's been such an exciting weekend. My goodness.
Yeah,
and
it has.
There's so much to talk about, so let's get into it. First, I want to say this has been the first time I've ever done any kind of coverage for Blizzcon at all. Even just talked about it in a setting that's not just amongst friends. And Jesus, there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, holy crap. To see people like Brayole on YouTube putting out 4 videos a day that guy must be working his ass off. Holy crap. But yeah. So getting into the heart of the matter, I think it's kind of important to talk about some of the things we're going to be losing. And it's looking like rest in peace legendaries.
Which a lot of people are going very happy about that.
Oh, I'm
myself
happy.
Included. It's definitely. I mean, there's some things about the legendary system that will be sad to see go. Mostly the effects of certain legendaries. I'd like to see some of those stick around, but in general, the system I'm glad to see going bye bye.
Yeah, me too, man. One of the things I think that this would hopefully help do is maybe help Blizzard identify what some real problems with these classes are. Because, for example, Prot Warriors, right? And I know I've at least said this to you before, Faye. Prot Warriors are just in a terrible place right now. But generally, all 3 specs are. But since I'm a Prot Warrior, it hits close to home. So to see, I'm not going to have the Manacles of Manaroth for the rest of my life. It's okay, well, we got to figure out a way to make Prot more viable as a main tank for a raid then. Because there's a lot of fights where the manacles are the only thing keeping me from just dying and melting under the boss. So,
there's definitely a lot of specs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and there's some things that just are just going to feel so bad to not have anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
And honestly, not. I mean, we are losing legendaries, but we're also going to be losing the artifacts, which we're getting some sort of send off eventually. They said that multiple times, but there's also all those little traits that you get that you really do need to stay alive as a tank or even to do your damage as a DPS.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to have to do some changes there to make it feel the same or better.
You gotta wonder if the artifact abilities are gonna somehow be incorporated into the class, or maybe the plan is that they're just gonna straight up replace that ability with a different ability. Because I know with Neltharion's Breath, anyways, that's a mitigation. That's a big mitigation cooldown that I could have over a minute and a half to be able to block pretty much 100% of incoming damage is huge. So yeah. I think I'm hesitantly excited to see what's coming because, what if it's good? What if it's bad? I think one of the big things I'm pretty thrilled about, you are not going to have garrison command tables anymore in the next expansion. Oh, thank you, Blizzard. That's the real gift of the next expansion to me is there's no more command tables because, my God, did I hate those freaking command tables. I remember in beta for Legion, I was actually, there's a video of this on the YouTube channel. I was doing a Demon Hunter, and I was leveling up and whatnot, and then it had me go back to my order hall to do what was essentially a tutorial for the command table. And That's so dumb. Like, God. And I was so upset by it. And it's turned me off to Legion for a good while there because I just am not interested in those stupid things. But with that said, that also means we're looking at not having the Order Hall or Garrison style setups anymore. So likely no more Garrison resources or anything of the kind that we need to be collecting, which I like that, you know.
Yeah. It'll be nice having fewer things that you have to keep in your 3 tracked currencies.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's it's less clutter, to keep track of, and I think it's good that we're cleaning up some of the clutter. I'm really glad to see that. Let's see what else we got here. Flying. Yeah, we're not gonna have flying.
We're probably gonna lose flying. They've kind of set the standard with Legion, which I think is a decent system of no, you don't get flying out the gate. You got to work for it. And honestly, the Pathfinder achievements that they had for Legion were not bad at all. Most of the people who were playing from the beginning or even a week away were able to get it pretty quickly. We had a guy come back to the game fresh, and he was flying within 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't take too long to get it once it's all out, and I think that's good to say considering that it's supposed to be the cadence. It's not supposed to be something that's a pain for you to have to go out and get whenever you are starting over or somebody new is coming back late in the expansion. It's something that's supposed to just be like, okay, we're going to hold you off until we get to where we want to be in the story that you get flying.
And unlike the previous expansions, before Warlords, where you had to purchase it for every character, it's going to be account unlocked. So once you've got it, you've got it. Your alts will have an easy time.
Yeah, and that sounds right to me. That all sounds right to me. I'm completely on board with what Blizzard's plan is with flying, and if they keep it this way for the rest of the time, like I don't think you'll ever find me against it. Then again, if we get zones like Tanan Jungle as starting zones, like holy shit, that place! I hated walking around that place. Way too many ledges. That was
miserable.
Yeah.
Now,
or if it was like in Taurus.
If a starting zone, but if you had a starting zone like Timeless Isle, now that fit with the no flying perfectly.
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the other thing we probably that is going away is the distinction from PvP and PvE servers.
Yes, I like this. I like it a lot.
It'll be pretty much at that point, all you'll have is normal and probably RP servers. So you still have your RP server designation. They haven't talked about getting rid of that, which is good. But the ability to just be able to say like, oh, I'm on a PvE server, but I love PvP, but I don't want to do it all the time. Like, let's say you've got PvP toggled, you're doing your quests, and then you just get camped for an hour straight. Yeah. Eventually, you're just going to be like, well, let me turn off PvP so I can actually make progress because it's just miserable. On the other hand, if you're sitting there like, oh, it doesn't feel visceral enough. I don't feel like I'm in danger while questing. Well, flip that tag on now, and it'll actually hopefully mean something where there'll be people who actually want to PvP. So if you see a member of the other faction, they're going to come after you, and you should go after them.
Yeah, and I think so from what they've said about how it's going to be set up, I think of it like when you flag, if you're on a PvE realm, when you flag yourself for PvP, that it's probably going to work that same way, only it's just going to be for everybody now. And it's basically, you can only change over to the PvP realms, or to the PvE realms anyways, either way. You can only change over whenever you are in a major city, essentially. Like, you can't just be in an inn out in the middle of... It's not based on being rested. It's based on being, like, at a big hub. So, there's specific examples listed where, Orgrimmar, Stormwind, Dalaran, so, major cities. And I think that's a good call. I think, thinking about, if you were getting ganked by someone out in the wild and you get back to town, it's either the guards are going to save you or you are just out of luck, son. And I think that's fair because you chose to be on that PvP realm back in the major city. Come hell or high water, that's what you're going to be dealing with. So you got to make sure you're prepared for it. And I like that setup. So The other thing I wanted to touch on here is they have very lightly glossed over Titan Forging. And Titan Forging is kind of the bane of Legion, is what we came to, the conclusion we came to last week. It's one of the worst executed
implemented systems.
Yeah.
Its intent was noble, but execution was horrible.
So basically what Blizzard has told us at BlizzCon about this in the Q&A is, we're just going to try to execute better. And the system's not going away. We're just going to try to make it so that if you get Titan Forged in one raid tier, it's not going to outlevel the next raid tier at all. So to me, that kind of makes me wonder, okay, when you say it's not going to outlevel the next raid tier, does that mean it's not going to outlevel the mythic of the next raid tier if you get a mythic Titan Forged? Or is it not going to outlevel, the LFR? Because in which case, that means that we would be looking at huge item level gaps between raids. Unless they could significantly reduce Titan Forged effect. Which maybe that's the plan, and I hope it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because you could have it go anywhere from okay, you can get, so here's base item level for mythic, and you can get plus 25 on it, and that's the max Titan Forging. But that still means you can go into LFR and get something up to that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it feels a bit more like what they were intending with it. It is a casual friendly system. And I know that's a curse word to a lot of WoW players, but that's what it is. The intent, it's definitely a change from the initial intent of Titan Forging to be a mechanic to keep you going back to old content. But I think they've come to the realization with a few classes and specs requiring them to roll for old raid tiers just to be viable, that it's not an ideal world to allow people to get gear that's equivalent to current raid, because it's their only option.
Yeah.
So not allowing stuff to not making old content as viable for current content just has to be a sacrifice that's made.
I think, honestly, though, there's a simple solution that it's kind of frustrating that they don't do it. So the idea I have for a successful Titan Forge system is basically you've got each of your raid difficulties separated by 15 item levels, yeah? So you've got LFR at item level 0, you've got normal at item level 15, heroic at 30, mythic at 45. And so your rewards, if they Titan Forge, your gear, if it Titans Forge, if it War Forges, you get 5 item levels additional. If it Titan Forges, you get 10 item levels additional. So you're still going to be 5 item levels under the next raid tier. Or not raid tier, the next difficulty. Which I think would work just fine. And a lot of people may think that's not that, big of a reward if you get Titan Forged, it's only 10 item levels, whoop-de-doo. Yeah, you're right. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be huge.
I think having it to be to the base of the next tier is where it should go, just so that, let's say you're a mythic guild, but you got some people who you got to run through heroic. Well, a lot of people are selfish and are not going to want to run the lobies through heroic, so they're going to sit there and be like, no, they can start their own group and put their work in to get their gear. And so if you make it so it at least gets base mythic level, then they can at least get gear that's worth it for them. But I mean, we'll see what the changes actually end up being once the expansion goes live and after the months of loot gathering goes and people can data mine the actual numbers, since we won't see them.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to item level, the big thing that I'm kind of hoping for is a little less power creep next time, because the power creep in Legion has been insane. I truly do not believe it's ever been this dramatic, that you can essentially solo Mythic Plus dungeons now, even after we've ramped up Mythic Plus. You won't make it in time, but you could still get through it on your own if you're the right class spec, and with a high enough item level. That's to me is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Some of that though is some of the people who do it, like that one Demon Hunter. He's mostly mythic raid gear and mythic plus gear. So, and it's not like super high Titan Forge. So,
right.
It does still take work. It's not like you can roll face through a high level mythic plus.
Yeah, and I mean, it also comes down to, you know, distinguishability or whatever. I think of it like I am a heroic raider and I do Mythic Plus, and that's good and everything. But like the other warriors on our server that are Mythic Raiders and do Mythic Plus are lower item level than me, and I think that's kind of messed up. That it's like, oh yeah, I lucked out with Titan Forge enough that now I'm, you know, what most geared warrior on the server. Like that is crazy, and I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be like that on a more competitive rating server, but it's still on this server to me. I feel like that means your system's out of control.
Yeah. It also that's very dependent on how a Mythic guild runs the raid tier, though, because you got some Mythic guilds will just, okay, the tank's surviving, no need to funnel gear, send all that plate gear to someone else.
That's fair.
I mean, why did he doesn't need that Titan Forge? This guy over here, he's a holy paladin. He's struggling with his healing. Send him the plate gear.
Yeah, there's also the mindset of we can save the tank by killing the boss faster.
Yeah,
which
so the tanks usually are the last people to get gear, which
not in my guild. No, but I'm gonna move off the subject of Titan forging now, and we're gonna talk about the raids we can expect going forward. One that Blizzard has given us a little bit of information about, and I'm going to speculate further on it, is Uldir. Uldir is a Titan facility that was a laboratory. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me get Uldir. It's Halls of Control.
Uldir Halls of Control. Oh.
With 8 bosses officially.
Oh.
But yeah, you can continue on. It is a Titan laboratory of some sort.
Fey's dropping some information on me here. This is amazing. So the big thing is that this is, if you want to think about the aesthetic to kind of like start getting it in your mind and mulling it over, you're looking at something like a Titan style with the gold and the black and the very ornate kind of look, mixing with Troll. Now, when you think about Troll, thinking back to places like Zoldrak and what is it called? Zul'Gurub? Zul'Aman. Yeah, all those places. A lot of them have
anything with a Zul in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. Jintho Allure. Yeah, if you can name what zone that's in, then you were probably in this guild a long time ago. All of those places, the stone is kind of worn down, right? And it's decrepit, and except for Zul'Gurub, it was still pretty gold, but it was the old gold. But now what we're seeing in this next expansion with Zandalar is a very I describe it as the El Dorado, the city of gold, and
very Aztec.
Right. Yes, the Aztec style, the Mayan style, and it's really to me it's a kind of a nailed down aesthetic now with Blizzard, and I think that I am pretty fucking excited for this new raid to see what kind of aesthetic this would actually be if you intertwine the two styles. And I'm hoping that it's not just like this half of the raid is Troll and this half of the raid is Titan, kind of like what we ended up with in Tomb of Sargeras when we ended up going after Maiden and down into the Chamber of Avatar. It started to turn more into the Titan style, and so hopefully they'll be like, no, let's take these engravings we've got and put them into the with the snakes and the birds and all that stuff for Trolls, and let's put that into the architecture of the Titan constructs. And I think that would look sick, and I'm hoping they do that.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. A few things that they also said, like confirmed things, is that this is going to be the Emerald Nightmare of the expansion, which means we probably will not expect to have tier pieces off it,
right?
Just basic gear, and really that they didn't say much about it other than that. They kind of kept it hush hush. So
well, they did say one thing. They said that there is something sinister, something dark that has corrupted the laboratory. We all know, come on, it's old gods. It's gotta be. It's gotta, I think it's N'Zoth down there, and that would probably disappoint people, because I know there's people that are like, N'Zoth's in Ny'alotha and we have to go to Ny'alotha and I want to see Ny'alotha, and it's like, I don't think so. I think they will do N'Zoth the way they've done the other ones. You know, we had Cthulhu in a jail. We had in Ulduar, we fought Yogg-Saron. You know, this seems like it would be the place we would face off against N'Zoth.
Yeah, and it may not be the full old god as we've seen with the previous facing off. It's not them, their entire being. It's part of them breaking through back into the real world.
Yeah,
They're breaking out of their prison, so it's possible that we may see them again in the future. So just because we defeat them in their prison doesn't mean they're killed.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that what this kind of, I mean, if we're really to stretch it here and try to, like, guess what's happening in the grand scheme of things, which I will always do, I think looking at it, we're looking more like, yeah, we defeat N'Zoth here, and then when we go to Ny'alotha, we face all of them. You know, and that's kind of my thought, because there was that audio file of, you know, one of the old god minions or whatever dying, and he's just like, I return to Ny'alotha, and it's like, okay, so when they die they go back there. This is like Argus for old gods is what it sounds like. But does it reside in the void is the question at this point. Does that matter? You know, it's hard to say. But yeah, and I think that the one thing that would contradict my theory that N'Zoth is at the bottom of Uldir is the second raid boss announced.
Yep, they had teased out with a nice little art image of Ajara, Queen Ajara, and they said we will be facing her at some point. So there's always the chance that that we actually face minions of N'Zoth when fighting with Queen Ajara, Queen of the Naga.
Yeah, and that could be pretty cool, I think.
It'll be interesting to see how they do it, because there's a lot of those old assets from Cataclysm where we thought we were going to see a raid that was underwater, sort of interior facility that's had the ocean all around us. So who knows? We may get to see some little stuff like that again.
That would be cool.
Blizzard does not like abandoning assets, and those were some
right.
pretty beautiful assets.
Yeah, and that, I mean, thinking about it, what it would be with today's graphics and today's engine, like that would just be. I mean, Underwater Zone, I don't really want to see. Underwater Raid, yeah, send me there. Let's see it. Let's see what you got. Let's throw an experiment at me, Blizzard. I want to see what you can do. So that's pretty cool.
I'm fine with underwater content. You just got to do it right. Like, don't slow us down.
Yeah. Oh. My goodness. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting stuff on the raid front. On the dungeon front, there is a little bit more that we know about the dungeons.
Talk about it. They had said there'll be 10 at launch. That is a ridiculous amount of dungeons.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Now there are some caveats to that, and Bray will go into those.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is first off, with dungeons, I think it's important to say that these are going to be segregated. And what we're looking at with dungeons is 4 for the Horde and 4 for the Alliance at the start. Once you get to max level, it will unlock that you can go to all of those dungeons, and there are 2 max level dungeons that are going to be available. What we're looking at for dungeons, one of the big ones, one of the ones you can see on the screen right now, by the way, video cues this week. One of the dungeons you can see on the screen right now is Atel Dazar. And this one was actually demoed at BlizzCon, and I think a little later here I'll be showing part of that demo so that people can kind of get a feel for what the dungeon's going to be looking like.
This one reminds me so much of the Throne of Four Winds from the theme.
See, I don't get that theme.
It's I don't know, well, not that part of it, but like some of it definitely does. What's interesting is this one is located in Zul'Zar, which we'll be talking about these zones. We probably should have done that better.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, it's an interesting. You got your whole Zandalari, the Tomb of Zandalari Kings.
Yeah,
we'll be running through with undead dinosaurs and the like.
I was recording Zul'Gurub the other day for some stupid video that I'm probably going to scrap, but I was just flying around getting the scenic shots as I could, and I was like, you know what, this is still a pretty raid. Like, it still looks nice even after all these years. And then they showed this video at BlizzCon, and it was just like, my god, this dungeon to me is just gorgeous. It is so, I love the the style of this dungeon, and it's
Oh,
mostly
yeah.
the gold and blue. Like the gold and blue make this set this apart.
Just the fact that they're not sticking with a single color palette, and you've
Yeah.
got these accents of different colors hitting everywhere. It just brings out so much more. And I think people heard the complaints of we're tired of
green and black.
green and black, and
Yeah.
red and brown, and
Oh,
so
man.
here have some splashes of color. And
Have
not
some
just-
color.
Even then, like it's not just here's one uniform color because this is what trolls like gold. No,
Yeah.
no, it's not just solid gold, and it's looking beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is still like probably beta footage. Obviously, like, they've got an intro
yeah.
beta, so
Yeah, this
but
is.
it's
I mean,
it's gonna get better.
oh yeah, this is early on stuff. But I mean, at this phase, it already looks beautiful. And so basically, yeah, like Faye said, we're going to be going after some people that are going to be corrupting this sacred burial site of the first troll emperor, and basically they want to corrupt his corpse and bring him back from the dead. And in this dungeon, we're looking at a troll that's uses gold magic, which hasn't really been seen before in game. So that's kind of exciting. They're going to be trying to cleanse some gold, and they turn themselves gold in the process somehow, which is neat. And there's also going to be I probably should have put a spoiler warning up a long time ago, but anyways, there's going to be a undead dinosaur that summons baby dinosaurs that'll eat you. It'll try to eat you itself, and it will fear you. So enjoy that fight whenever you're getting feared into the whelps, and there are going to be many of them.
Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the ones that's going to be locked to Horde only until
Yes.
120.
Yes, it will. So Alliance is
Whereas
going to
on
have
the
to wait.
alternate side, yeah, the Alliance gets Freehold.
Yeah,
as
I'm
their
going to go ahead
lock,
and throw
which is
Freehold
in,
up.
Terragard Sounds.
Yeah,
Which that one's going to be a
gorgeous.
completely different feel and vibe, because you've got the whole the Zandalar, where you've got this whole Aztec native like kind of old world style, and then with you got the Freehold, which is more of, hey, look, pirates.
Yeah,
We got the whole Pirates of the Caribbean feel, and attacking the outlaws.
I feel like this might.
it-
Sorry, go ahead.
It's going to be, yeah, I'm sure you're going to get plenty of the fights that not just Horde's better than Alliance. I was like, our starting dungeons are better than your starting dungeons.
Yeah. Oh man, I like though with Freehold. From everything you've seen of it, so the Freehold's a neat dungeon. It obviously pretty. This is looking like to me a Pirate Bay style of place. It's just, I love
Yeah,
the
let those
mountains in the
outlaw rogues live
background.
fantasy.
Definitely. And to me, like this, I think this is one of the few times, not the first, but one of the few times that Blizzard has really like gone after the pirate theme. Obviously Deadmines had some pirate involvement, and there was, the Bloodsail Admirals, everything like that. But this to me is like, okay, we are going to actually like put effort into pirates and what we would imagine a pirate town being, and they, from everything I've seen of this dungeon, which is actually the entire dungeon, they knocked it out of the park, because what you're looking at with bosses here, you've got an orc who has like a shark's jaw on his shoulder, and he rides on a giant parrot that has a hook for a talon, and then you end up chasing a pug through town that's got keys, so it kind of adds to the lightheartedness. And something I think that's neat about this dungeon is it changes regularly. So basically, the key you get from the pug you're chasing through town is going to unlock a cage for a captain of a certain pirate faction, right? And one of the bosses, and before I get to the boss, I want to say that depending on who you unlock will make certain mobs go friendly to you. So you could end up, like, let's say if there's a majority of a faction, or the majority of the dungeon is taken up by one of the factions of pirates, then, you're looking at an easy week that week. Whereas if it's not, you're looking at a more difficult week, and maybe, this will somehow play out to trash mechanics as well. We don't know enough to say. But, I mean, to me, it's just a cool philosophy to put into the dungeon.
That one is going to be fun on Mythic Plus.
And then there's also the ogre that's, oh my god, it will.
Yeah,
There's also the ogre with the sharks for hands, so that guy's cool. But yeah, that's a neat dungeon. Other dungeons we know about, or at least know the name of for now. Tol Dagor, Waycrest Manor, Shrine of the Storms, Siege of Boralis, Temple of Sethralis, the Underrot, and King's Rest. And then the last one they talked about a little bit was Kazan, which is the home of the goblins. Well,
Yeah.
kind of the home of the goblins.
Yeah, the home of the goblins was kind of destroyed, but
Yeah.
I guess we get to see parts of it left.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what that dungeon's going to end up being like. And I like the idea that goblins are going to be chasing after this Azurite as well. Kind of break off from the money, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It'll be interesting. They haven't really announced. Well, this is a good place to kind of roll into the leveling up the zones. But
yeah.
one of the big things that was returning from Legion that was I love this system was being able to choose which area to start in. So with that in mind, it'll be interesting to see if dungeons are going to unlock based on zone completion or if they're going to be level based. I'm curious about that kind of stuff. But starting with we've got 2 continents coming. Each faction is going to be restricted to their continent until they hit max level. Or maybe just request restricted. We don't know if you can kind of sneak over there and try and do a little bit of PvP or not. We'll have to wait till people can play around with it. But the 2 continents are Kulteras and Zandalar. And Ray, why don't you go in and talk a little bit about your favorite zone in one of those continents?
Yeah.
I'll let you pick.
So I'm going to go ahead and just bring it up here as soon as I get my mouse on the right screen. Oh my goodness. Where is my mouse? Jesus. I have 3 screens. I can't find it. Okay, there we go. So yeah, my favorite zone, as I'm pulling up right now, is going to be Zuldazar. Or at least from what I could tell. It's gorgeous. This is the same Aztec aesthetic we were talking about before with the gold and the blue and the green and all the just so colorful. This is also where the capital for the Horde is going to be located, which I'm calling it Zandalar, the city.
It's Zandalari.
Zandalari.
I looked it up. Yeah, it's Zandalari is the capital. Yeah,
capital of Zuldalar on the island of Zandalar, or on the continent of Zandalar. So that's pretty cool.
Zuldazar is the zone, I guess. Zandalari is the capital. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That it's
and it is ruled by King Rasta.
Rastakhan.
Yeah.
King Rastafari Khan. Yeah, but King Rastakhan, our boy. Dude, I'm hyped. Rastakhan is a powerful leader in troll lore. He did not agree. So if you want to know a little bit about Rastakhan, he never really agreed with Vol'jin's style. And Vol'jin definitely did not agree with his because Rastakhan is kind of out for power. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with the Horde. To see if he's going to make a play for power or not. But I'm definitely stoked on this zone because from everything we've seen, it looks gorgeous. And on top of that, the city looks amazing. And I don't know, after Suramar, and this is kind of where my thought process goes with the 2 new major cities that are coming, is Suramar. Because Suramar was like the most city-feeling city that they have put in the game, in my opinion. And they
definitely have learned how to make a city feel like it's actually alive and full.
I mean, there's a huge difference between Dalaran and Suramar. One of them is amazing, the other one is Dalaran. But I know people like Dalaran, but like that place is boring as hell to me. Being able to explore the city is something I always have enjoyed, you know, and going back to vanilla and everything and wandering around Stormwind, wandering around Ironforge, wandering around Orgrimmar, wandering Thunderbluff, you know, seeing what all these different little areas of the city are, you know, and now that Blizzard has found a way to make them feel like they are coming to life, I think with this kind of aesthetic, it's going to be an incredible major city. And I'm very excited to see how Zandalari turns out and how the zone itself turns out. Also for the Horde, though, we've got a zone that we don't know too much about, Vol'dun. Vol'dun is a desert. Basically, from what I understand, the snake people, I think they're called like the Sethis or something like that, they are...
Sethrak.
Sethrak, yeah. They are basically cursed beings that wherever they go, life like plants and stuff will
Yeah,
die,
they're
and
yeah,
they
they're
will spread
apparently
sand.
minions of the old gods, and the
Oh, is
old
that
gods
right?
attacked. They talked about how it was initially a vibrant dungeon full of life, or not dungeon, jungle full of life. It was a vibrant
Right.
dungeon.
Voldoon
It
used to
was a
be a
vibrant
jungle.
jungle full of life, and the minions of old gods attacked and left it in the wake. And it's not been exclusive. It's not been explicitly stated that they're minions of the old gods, but if they're the only ones left, only race of hostile mobs left there, and they're still making it their home, they're probably one of the minions of an old god.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So
things
they're one
pointing
of
to
the
old
many
gods
races.
here.
Yeah, no, that it's definitely that zone feels like it. The other race that they definitely showed off, which is
Mhm.
super cute,
Oh yeah,
is the Volpera, the fox people.
the one that everybody is, as of now, demanding a playable version of.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Like,
I mean, I wouldn't mind a tameable one,
boy,
but
Blizzard really messed up on that one if they don't plan on making them ever playable, because people
Well-
are not going to let this go.
well, yeah, and we can talk about that a little bit later because
Yeah.
there's a chance of that when we get into the allies.
Yeah,
the
there's
allied
some
races.
race news too. That's right.
Yeah, the only other thing that stands out to me about Voldoon was the fact that they kind of talked about how the Zandalara use it as essentially a method of capital punishment. Like,
Yeah.
you committed the worst crime, you're going to be sentenced to wander the desert or be exiled to the desert. Which that
That's
I don't know.
interesting.
It's going to be interesting what type of things we come across in it. Are we going to find civilizations of criminals who have been exiled or not? I don't know.
Yeah. And you
Now-
gotta.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, you good. I was just thinking out loud actually. When you think about Legion and working with the drug addict from Azuna, it kind of makes me wonder if we're going to get taken advantage of by a group of criminal Volperas or trolls or something out there and do their bidding, not unwittingly realizing like we're about to commit a huge crime against Zandalar, like or Zandalari.
Yeah, but that was supposed to be kind of a redemption story because he wasn't the one who led him there.
That's fair.
But no, the third horde zone is the one that I'm looking forward to the most, and it's Nazmir.
Yeah.
It's it again, before Cataclysm it was a forest, and then it turned into a swampland. But as Bray and I were talking about earlier, like they haven't really done a good swampland since I would say Swamp of Sorrows. It may not be the most beautiful looking zone, but to me, there's the other part of it, the atmosphere. The Blizzard's been on point with the music in the last few expansions. I just am going to be interested to see how well they can get you that feel of I'm in this swamp and there's danger lurking around. And also, it has one of the big parts about that zone is going to be the Loa, which I do like some of the troll lore. And they also have the blood trolls, which were an interesting little troll faction that they displayed. So I'm excited to see more of that zone and to be able to play in it.
Yeah, it
And
looks.
I think Bray's got some of it on screen, and it still looks. It doesn't. It's again there. It's not too much of just one color. They still have some highlights of different colors, and stuff pops still. I think.
Yeah, and you can tell there's dynamics to the zone too. I mean, there's parts of it where it's less swampy, but still maintains the aesthetic and everything. But from everything, so this one is one they had the demo of, which is on screen now. And the interesting parts of this is you're dealing with the blood trolls, but the deal with the blood trolls is their hierarchy is that basically the women are in charge and the men are slaves, is how it kind of comes out. And so you have to go into disguise as a woman, a female blood troll, and head off into their village, and basically you're trying to grant access to talk to certain Loas, one of them being a undead-looking bat guy, Hyreek or something. I'm not sure exactly his name, but you're just trying to get the Loa to help you out. And I think, from what I remember about this, the blood trolls are kind of cursed because they have tried to take the Loa's power for themselves without kind of earning it. Basically, they've kind of just attacked the Loa and tried to
Yeah,
take
and
the
there's-
power.
And the other big thing is that this is the location of the Titan facility. is in this zone, so
Yeah.
their corruption from that facility may be leaking out and infecting the trolls in the area as well.
Definitely. You got to wonder if blood trolls are going to become playable at some point. Take out
Yeah.
that hunch. They could be interesting. That's the deal with all horde races now. Torrents with
My
the
biggest
hunches.
complaint.
Yeah. But that is about it for the horde zones. What we are going to look into next is the alliance zones, believe it or not, because we haven't talked about them at all. So the alliance are going to be getting Kultiris. Kultiris, as most of you probably know, is where Jaina is from. Her father is Admiral Proudmoore, who Thrall killed with Jaina's permission to try to establish some peace with the Horde, and lo and behold, she returns now with her mother in charge to take down the Horde, because she PO'd. She real mad. So one of the zones we're looking at, the one that has the alliance capital of Borealis, and I will be bringing it up here very shortly, is called Tiergard Sound. And this kind of reminds me of the Gilnean kind of aesthetic, only seaside, which Gilneas actually is, but this, I don't know, it feels like a good sea town.
Yeah, it feels more like a port town than Gilneas did.
Yeah, it's definitely beautiful.
Although we didn't get to see much of Gilneas, so
yeah, it's fair.
it's fair.
It's definitely a very pretty zone. I really like the aesthetic of the town, because it's almost like looking at it, it's almost like seeing the Goblin style merge with the Gilnean style.
No, it feels like Gadgetson if it wasn't a tiny 1 square mile town.
Yeah, I mean,
or Booty Bay even it feels like they took that
Yeah.
whole port town aesthetic and just turned it up.
yeah, it made it
And-
a little bigger for humans and made it fit to scale a little better, and it looks good. It actually kind of reminds me of, if you remember the what was the expansion called? It was Backstreets of Gadgetzan or whatever. They had the video they did for that. It kind of looks like the town in that video they did for that expansion.
I can see that I feel like they're definitely pulling together the creative minds there.
Yeah, and this sorry, go ahead.
And that's more of Freehold, right?
Yep, that's what I was about to say. This is the zone that Freehold is based in. And the whole storyline for this zone is going to revolve around battling back pirates that are running amok with the town. And, so it's kind of cool because you've got the city of Borealis, which looks like it's going to be on the water, because, the way it's kind of laid out is you've got 3 different islands in a triangle, and on the water there, it's going to be Borealis, and then you have some mountainous areas and some farms around there. And that is going to be cool, but I also wonder, what is the farmland going to be used for? Story-wise, what are we going to be doing out on those farms? Because I don't really think pirates give a shit about farms. They care about the towns and the big scores and all that, in the fantasy setting anyways. I don't see them being like, yeah, we're going out to the farm because, we all like wheat and bacon too, so we're going to baking with the G at the end.
We're going to go steal all that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go take all that. So, I mean, maybe, but I don't...
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, but I'm definitely... I don't know, man. I like the way these alliance zones look. I'm going to show off the next one here for Stormsong Valley is what I wanted to talk about.
This one is one of the most beautiful zones they showed.
Yeah, this is going to be probably one of my favorite zones. It's just really pretty. It's still got, the buildings still have that same style to them, that architecture, and you've got these mountains in the background that, I'm going to admit it, I thought they were fake. So obviously, yes, it's a video game. It's not a real picture. But what I'm saying is, I thought that the mountains in the background of this zone were painted
the background layer, yeah.
Right, like we see on Argus. And I even said, I don't think we're gonna have flying in this expansion because those don't look real. But when I watched a playthrough of the other zone that we're talking about next, Drustvar, when I watched the playthrough of that, you could see part of the Stormsong Valley in the background, and like you can tell when there's movement that yes, those mountains are real. And I was just blown away because there are some massive mountains in Kultiris. I was very surprised at how big one of the mountains was, but definitely, I love mountains, and this zone looks cool. And the fun fact about this is both Stormsong Valley and Tiergard Sound were originally designed to be like ice zones, covered with ice, and just like almost like what's that zone up in Northrend at the very top? Wind Peaks, Storm Peaks, Storm Peaks.
Well, that's one's all covered in snow.
Yeah, that's what
I was thinking more like the Howling Fjord, where you had part of it on snow and part not, is what you were talking about. But
well, that's what this is actually looking like now. Is what Stormsong Valley looks like now. Is it's going to be very similar to the Howling Fjord field with the upgraded graphic settings and the architecture of the current Kultiran style. So I think that's going to be a really. It's probably going to be one of the zones I'd go to first on the Alliance, personally. If I was leveling Alliance, I'd be going through there pretty quickly. Some good things to know about Stormsong Valley. We're looking at the Storm Cloud or whatever family. Do you remember the name of that family, Fey?
House Stormsong.
Oh, there it is.
Is the owner of the Stormsong Valley.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
There you go. I mean, it's
I do know that they mentioned this is this zone would be for the Kingdom of Kulturas. They are the ones who provide the ships.
Yeah,
and a big I guess faction culture there is the Sea Priests. And their job is to just bless the ships before they're allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Now, this is the zone that we're looking at being where Queen Azara is probably going to attack, because they're getting attacked by dark forces from the sea. Was one of the things they hinted at. So we will, and Quillbors. I don't know why that was relevant, but they definitely made that a huge talking point, and I was kind of confused.
I wonder what those Quillbors are going to do to me. God damn it! Oh,
it's going to be like the starting zone for Horde.
I'm also interested that they're like, yeah, these are Sea Priests. That kind of makes me think like the sea is part of their power, and I'm wondering if Blizzard is trying
or that they've got a religion built around it.
Right, and apparently they're very devout. So I'm wondering how the Sea Priests play into classes, and if it's going to be something that's like, yeah, we could see Sea Priests being a playable class someday, or like, I mean, like, it sounds silly. Yeah. But like, it could be the beginning of a new class idea that we're seeing, And there's a lot of times where you can get thrown off looking at something too closely and see that this is ridiculous. But it's it's still we're running out of class ideas here, and I'm interested to see what we get.
Yeah.
So
if they do something, this is getting a little off topic, but I'd be more interested in seeing more specs and less new classes, because
fair.
Give some of the specs that don't have a healing spec or tanking spec. I don't know.
Give me my sword and board DPS. No, but getting back on topic here.
Give me my double shield DPS.
That's right. Yeah, double shield's not a tank; it's DPS, baby. God, oh my God. So the last Alliance zone to cover here is called Drustvar. Drustvar is the Haunted Woods. I mean, simply put, it's the Haunted Woods.
It is the parallel to Nazmir.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
Although it's still got some beautiful areas, and I mean, it almost looks like they finished up the Alliance zones first, and they're still doing the pass on when you, or it's all in render.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it could be.
Yeah, it's this one was interesting because they were talking about like each of the zones for the Kingdom of Kulturas has a different role. So Stormsong was the shipbuilders. This one is their arms dealers and their I guess their sausage and meat vendors. but it's a cursed land. This one I think was one of these zones that they had playable on the BlizzCon floor as well.
Yep, I've got that video up now. It's so the way the story starts in this zone is you come across a town where, well, if you go the right way, anyways, you come across a town where people are frozen in place, like not actually frozen, but they're just like stuck in place, can't move, can't communicate or anything, and you're just kind of okay. You got to figure out what's going on. It turns out there's a witch, and you gotta go through and stop the witch, but it turns out there's another town and this one's been turned into pigs, and you got to figure out where the witch, like what's causing all of this. So there's something big afoot here in Drustvar, and this is where one of the dungeons is located. Let me find the name of that one. It's
That one is
it Waycrest Manor?
Waycrest
I think.
Manor, I thought.
Yeah, I believe Waycrest Manor is in that zone, if I remember right, because it's the Waycrest family in Drustvar, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's House Waycrest is the rulers of Drustvar.
yeah. So there's something afoot, and I like the setup of, I like the setup of having the dungeon kind of cap off the story or be part of the story, like we saw with Niltharian's Lair in High Mountain, and with all of the dungeons in Legion with the zones. I like that a lot. So to see that they're going to be continuing that kind of theme with certain dungeons is cool. Seeing that we've got the Siege of Borealis going on in Tier Guard Sound as well as Freehold. Both of those could play into the story.
Yeah,
One of them,
I'll be very happy because with some of those, like with Siege of Borealis, it sounds like it could be not a ending of a zone area, but a starting. Like, oh no, you go in and you do this dungeon at like early on in the quest chain.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. What would also be interesting though is if that's one that unlocks at max level and it's actually the Horde that's attacking Borealis. I think that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all speculation right now.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But that's all the zones we're going to be leveling up in.
Yeah. So the next thing I think we should actually cover now would be the fact that we kind of touched on a couple with how the questing in different zones are going to be, but like a big part of this expansion is going to be allying yourself with the denizens of these continents. So you've got to earn the trust of the Zaldalari. You got to earn the trust of Pulteris. You've got to, and in addition to that, they talked about going back and earning the trust of previous races you're encountered, such as the High Mountain Tauren, the Void Elves led by Illyria, and the Night Elves, the Nightborn of Suramar.
Yeah.
So we've got some. So again, we're going to have to actually go after these people and earn their trust and get them on our side. And now there are restrictions for each race, for which faction, but the cool thing about this, and this is where I was talking about the Volpera earlier, is since we're getting these allied races, they've said that once you have earned the allegiance of these races, it will be a playable race for you as a sub race of some sort. So you can go, you've met them, you've earned their trust on your main, you can now go level up a new character as that race, and they start at level 20.
Yeah. I think
so.
I'm excited.
A lot of people are going to be. Now, they did also mention for all those people who are like, I've got all my character slots full. I don't want to have to level up another one, or I can't because I'm full. One, they did say it was noted during the Q&A, or maybe just over on Twitter afterwards, that you will be getting 6 additional slots per server for characters. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but the other main thing is you can race change after you've met this faction, and so if you really want to be, and you don't want to take the time to level it up, you can be a High Mountain Tauren once you've earned their allegiance.
Yeah, that's me. Definitely. I'm not really big on leveling, so I'm definitely going to be race changing over to to play some of these characters. I really love the way the Zandalari trolls look. It's and the Dark Iron Dwarves. I love the Ember specks in the beard and all that. I think that's just awesome touches. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just say this. They're gonna be changing customization in 8.0 a little bit, and a lot of people didn't catch this in the Q&A. As it turns out, Blizzard was paying attention to the people who were complaining about trolls and orcs having a hunch. So they are, yes. So, someone here has been bitching. No, so it looks like they're going to basically make the barber shop, I think it is. Yeah, the barber shop. They're also going to give them the ability to do cosmetic surgery and chiropractic, or in chiropractics. I don't know. It's going to be a chiropractor now, and yeah. So yeah, we're looking at being able to get hunches out and stand up tall as an orc and stand up tall as a troll.
I think they would have mentioned like they're doing a rework of how it works, so it might not be as it is now, where you're just selecting head and then so things. It may be something more advanced. It may not, but they did say that they wanted to. The system feels old. They want to kind of make some changes to it, which was when that was mentioning there. One of the things is with these allied races, as the models were spinning on the stream, they were all wearing those different armors, and you may be thinking, how can I get these armors? Well, those are special heritage cosmetic armor. It's an achievement lock thing, and it requires you to take one of those races from level 20 where they start all the way to 120.
Yeah.
So 100 levels of leveling, and then you get that armor as a, I guess, either an achievement unlock or a quest unlock at the end of it. We're not really sure exactly. We just know it's going to be locked, and that's how you unlock it. And then after that, it's transmoggable. I believe you can transmog it for all armor types. It's not going to be locked like leather only, cloth only. It will be, it works for plate. It works for cloth. It'll be interesting seeing that very plate-looking armor on a mage if you're a dwarf or whatever.
Right. It is. It's also worth mentioning that you will only be able to use that transmog on the race that on that allied race. So you can't take your Dark Iron set and use it on a Tauren. You have to use it on Dark Iron dwarves. But yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it to level 100 just to get a transmog set.
I would do it because if people want stuff that feels unique and feels like it actually takes some work, that is it right there.
That's fair,
because you're going to have to actually put in the time and work to get it. Now it might not be work to you. It may just be I'm going to watch Netflix while I'm slowly browsing, killing mobs over and over again until I level up. But it's definitely it definitely takes time. So
yeah.
I'll probably do it after I've finished getting most of what I need from a raid tier, and then I'll start leveling up in the guy. Or maybe I'll start from the beginning and do it. You never know.
I'm really interested to see how all of these end up coming to join the factions, because, obviously between the light and the void, the alliance is going to have some parenting to do, because you
get the void elves and the light forged Draenei, and
yeah, it seems like one would go to one faction.
Then you also get the Dark Iron dwarves, so you've got you still have a bit of tension there between the Dark Iron and the just the regular faction of dwarves. I mean, it's kind of been resolved. There's still got to be some people around there who are not too happy with it. And as you commented earlier, with the Zandalari trolls being a faction, Vol'jin and the trolls of the Horde probably will still have an issue with the Zandalari.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
we're going to see some interesting things. And then, as we mentioned last week, this is some of the stuff that came from the data mining we found prior. So it is interesting to see that they have been. When Ian talked about it, he did mention it as sub races. That's confirmation that it's going to be you select dwarf and then select Dark Iron or regular.
Yep.
Or if it's going to actually show up as another spec all in there.
I don't have the footage of it, but there is footage on YouTube of somebody going through the customization process of High Mountain Taurens and Lightforged Draenei, and it's not done. But from what you see that so it's not that you select a Tauren, and then you can choose whether you're high mountain or regular. It's that you have your faction screens, and then you click a button that is allied races, and it just basically puts only the allied races up. So
Okay.
it's a completely separate.
So that, but yeah, we may see that change, especially since they
Yeah.
plan on redesigning the customization, which includes all of that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
It's all up in the air for now because we're not
Yeah.
even at alpha yet.
well,
But
they're probably at internal beta at this
Yeah.
point. There's too much done for it not.
oh,
to, in my
absolutely.
opinion.
I mean, they had full zone previews going on. You're like, yeah, okay, you
Yeah.
only got 20 minutes, but you can get some places in 20 minutes in this game. I mean, so
Yeah.
that's encouraging that there was so much to be able to test out at the BlizzCon this week. So I want to move on to first. I want to touch back on something actually with the leveling. So
Yeah, I
level-
guess this follows well from having to level up a new allied race.
Yeah, leveling is changing a little bit. They are going to implement scaling levels to all of the game. So basically, instead of, think of it like this: Westfall starts at level 10 or so, and instead of you leveling up through it and getting past a high enough level because you're using heirlooms to all your quests go gray and it's time to move on to the next zone after about 5 quests and whatever, now it's going to scale with you all the way up to level 60, and they're still making it so scary zones are scary. So they're
Yeah,
the
no,
example
that
they
was
use.
the-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the thing that sounded really solid to me. Like, wait, if you're leveling in Tristful Blades and you're like, oh, look, it's Eastern Plaguelands, let me just run at the.
Yeah.
So the minimum level for zones is not changing. There's still going to be a minimum level for a zone. There just isn't. The cap is now extended to 60. So Barons is probably going to be 20 to 60 versus before where it was like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
So if you're going from Duratar, you don't want to immediately run into the Barons, and you'll get one shot probably. You still
Right.
have to level up, but it's now the system is going to let you follow those quest lines all the way through. You can pick and choose, like, oh, I'm going to do this zone in its entirety because I really like this zone, or I haven't seen the full quest line since they did them in Kata.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's going to be it'll leveling alt so much fun, and it's definitely going to be refreshing if you haven't seen, because I know a lot of people when Kata came out, they didn't re-roll, they just stuck with their mains and kept leveling, so they haven't seen the new quest lines in some of the zones.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to stay put longer, less travel time, and I'm looking forward to that aspect of it, but I still think there's a lot more work to go with zone design, or I'm sorry, with leveling right now in the game. But yeah, so we're looking at global scaling happening, which is going to be great. I do want to move on though from that to the heart of.
Let me just throw
Oh.
quick 1-2 things that they also mentioned about that.
Things. Do it. Throw it at
Flexible expansion order for that. So they said that they were going to have Outlands and Northrend from 60 to 80, and then Mists of Pandaria and or Kata and Kata and Mist up to 90. So, but the other interesting thing is those changes for leveling scaling are coming in 7.3.5. So pre-expansion, we will see them with the next drop.
Isn't there something else coming in 7.3.5?
There is PvP updates.
Oh, is
The
that
new
right?
Battleground is actually coming as well. Which I don't even know if we mentioned that. Or, we talked about that earlier, but no, that the new Battleground
Definitely forgot.
is supposed to be coming there. I completely forgot about it as well. But looking over my notes, I'm like, oh, I have that listed as 735.
Yeah, whoops.
And yes, so the new Battleground, Seething Shore.
Yeah, and basically the way this battleground is going to work is there's this substance called azurite because the world is wounded. We talked about this last week. So basically, Sargeras is going to stab us, and the planet's going to start hemorrhaging and bleeding and everything, and Silphus gets the brunt of it. So we're looking at azurite, the blood of Azeroth, the Titan itself, coming up to the surface and leaking everywhere. So basically, this battleground is going to have azurite points. We all want to collect azurite, right? We are all vampires to this planet, so we want to make sure that we're getting as much of it out of this place as we can, where it's all coming up to the surface so quickly. Anyways, throughout this battleground, you're going to have different points spawn that are going to have azurite bubbling up, and you need to capture these points as soon as you can. And basically, it's going to be a race to a cap, and the winner wins, or the person with the most, or getting to the cap first wins. I like the idea of this expansion because it keeps, or not the expansion, rather the battleground. I like the idea of this battleground. It keeps you moving, and it's kind of got an unpredictable nature to it, and I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I am optimistic but cautious about it. I've seen this type of PvP done before. It can be now. With the game I remembered it was 6v6, so with a bigger group it may be more viable. In that one it was kind of like whoever has 2 players in the point wins, because they'll get there first. And so I'm interested to see how they're going to do it. Points instantly become active, or if there's a notification like such and such is coming active soon, and everyone runs to it. So I'm curious to see. They did say 7.35 is when it's supposed to come out, so it'll be probably be on the PTR within a couple weeks at max.
Yeah, it's I'm excited for it. Something, I mean, finally a new battleground. Like that's what it comes down to.
We didn't get any of this expansion, so
yeah. So to me, it's it's been what, 6 years since the last battleground was put in. It's been a while. I think it was Miss Pandaria.
Yep, Miss added 3.
Ashran will never count. Just so everybody knows, Ashran will never count.
What's funny is it would have fit as an actual BG more than its stupid PvP zone that it was.
Yep.
Like if it was actually a BG as Alterac Valley, people would have been more accepting of it.
Yeah.
Because it would end.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think that's all we have for 7.3.5. Is there anything in your notes that's telling you otherwise?
No. There were maybe some hints about the world PvP changes going, but I think that was misspeak, or I wrote it down wrong. So I think that's it.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure we already covered the world PvP like the realms, whatever. We already talked about that. So, Fey, I need you to explain to me how the hell the Heart of Azeroth works. Tell me all about it. What is this?
Okay, so yeah, this was one of those things.
Hang on.
We got to pull up the video.
No, this segment is called Heart of Azeroth. Do they know things? What do they know? Let's find out. Go ahead, Faye.
So as we know, artifacts are, and in place of them, this expansion is this item, this medallion that fits in the next slot called the Heart of Azeroth. And they explained a bit, but Magni comes to us pleading about, obviously Azeroth is dying, it's bleeding its lifeblood everywhere, with these Azerite popping up, as the new battleground will show. So he comes to us and gives us this medallion that allows us to collect Azerite in it, and for some purpose, we're not sure yet, but this is going to be our new kind of artifact replacement system. It's not the same. It's not like you pour AP into it and you got to change it. You don't have one for each spec. You get this one item, and it's going to have levels that are gained by collecting this Azerite. But at that point, it gets a little bit more interesting, because rather than with artifacts where you had all the traits on your weapon and then you're done, with this, they are creating each piece of gear in certain slots. The ones that we've seen, we don't know exactly which slots, but we know on helm, chest, and shoulders from some of the footage from Blizzcon, the UI, they showed it, and during the deep dive they showed it. But a helm is going to have different talents in rings. Is in their current iteration. They did say that this is still in work, but you'll be able to choose a talent on a ring essentially, or a trait. And you only get one for each of these levels. And it looked like there were 4 or 5 for each piece of gear. The cool thing I like about this, that unlike Relics and with the Netherlight Crucible where everything was random, they said, no, we're taking each piece of gear and it's always going to be the same traits on it. So if you get Helm of 1,000 Asses, it's going to have the same traits as the one from normal, LFR, and Mythic. You don't have to worry about getting random traits and you get, this is the best in traits on it. I'm sure there will be min-maxing on which traits to choose and therefore what gear you want to go after. But they also did say that they're trying to balance it more on play style. Like for one big example they gave that made me laugh, and because I could think of a few people in mind when they said this, but is like on this tier you get to choose between when you turn into a ghost wolf, you move faster for a couple of seconds, or when you use I can't remember the name of the ability.
Was it Oshak
Ancestral? That was Shaman.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Ancestral Shift, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
It will reduce the damage by higher. So it's essentially here saying, so if you're the type of player who likes to stand in fire, take this talent. But if you like to get out of fire quickly, take this one. Which was just funny to me because, like, hey, if that is actually a viable playstyle, if it actually reduces the damage enough to where you can get out of the fire quickly, or you can stand it and tank it and not cause your healer too much stress. That's cool to me if they actually are planning on balancing it that way. Like, okay, you can take this or this. It's more of a flavor thing, but does change up how you play. And they said they're really focusing on having different pieces that will interact with each other. So if you want a certain build, you take these different armor pieces with their different traits.
Nice.
And it's definitely the best part about it is a huge upgrade from the Relic system, especially after Netherlight Crucible, is the RNG is not there. Like if you want a certain I'm going to call it artifact power since we don't, or Heart of Azeroth power. How about that? If you want a heart power,
I think it's called Azerite.
Azerite power. But if you want one of those powers, you can target a piece of gear and get it. And you don't have to, like, you may have to wait for random drops, but you don't have to sit there and like, okay, I just need to keep going for this Iron Relic and it might be the trait I need.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to like this system a little more than I like the artifact system. And so one thing they made it very clear was that whenever you replace that piece of gear, so like if you replace your Helm of 1,000 Asses and get your Helm of Big O Titties, you're going to be able to instantly, like your Helm of 1,000 Asses was level 2, so is your Helm of Big O Titties. So
the leveling stays in the heart,
right?
Which is, so if your heart's maxed out, any piece of gear you're already going to be able to unlock all things on it, which is just, it's going to be great.
Yes, and I like that because that's the same for if you are prot spec or if you are resto spec. You know, you are going to be able to use your Heart of Azeroth to upgrade that slot no matter what spec you are. So basically, it removes the alt spec unfriendliness that artifact weapons were. And I'm glad. I'm really glad they're doing that. It's going to make it much easier to be able to be like, yeah, I want to do Fury on the off nights, whatever, or the alt nights, whatever. I want to be able to, go Fury. And yeah, I collected the gear, but my weapon's too weak because I have to keep my prot weapon strong,
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're fixing that issue that was started.
Now that there are a few things that I hope they don't lock us in like, oh, you chose that talent, you're stuck with it. I'm hopeful that they're going to make it that there may be a cost or a rune of change it, but hopefully there'll be some sort of change that you can do.
Maybe something similar to the tome of the one that lets you reset talents. That one.
Yeah. So the big thing is
the big thing
is the life blood of Azeroth leaking out, and there are going to be a couple different ways to get this. There'll be nodes in the open world that you can find. There'll be chests that may contain some. There are creatures that you kill that may leak out some. There are quests that will do it. There will be world quests that may have the reward. There'll be bosses, and then there'll be island excursions
My turn,
or
because I know
expeditions.
about these things. So, Island Excursions is a new feature that is going to be coming into the next expansion. Basically, the way these are going to work out, a lot of people are comparing these to invasions, invasion points, whatever. Not so much. Imagine it like this. You head on down to the old docks, and you talk to a gnome or a goblin, and you're like, "Yo, dog, I heard you got the hookups on the Azurite whereabouts. Where are they about?" And they'll send you out to some random island in the middle of the sea to die. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna arrive at the island, and you're going to arrive at a certain part of the day, right? And you're gonna see that, oh, there's some ogres on the beach. Okay, me and two of my mates, we're gonna go after these ogres and we're gonna kill them, and then there's a shrine in the back that's gonna give me a buff and a debuff, and you're gonna decide if it's worth taking, and you're gonna take it. Now, I imagine you're not gonna know what that shrine will do until you've clicked on it. So the first time out there, you're probably gonna, maybe mess yourself up. It's hard to say, but
Oh, I hope there are some bad things that can happen with it. So it's not I should click this, and maybe some hints about what it is.
yeah. I like that. But you could also get a very difficult setup, where there's more elites and there's a rare spawn. I like the example they gave was like, you could arrive there and you found some Mogu necromancers, and then Mogu necromancers have a portal to one of their void areas or some shit, and it's like, or one of their vaults, and you can go through that portal into that vault to kill a rare spawn or get a treasure or something. And basically all of the mobs are randomly generated. Like when you go to that one of these random islands that are not randomly generated, but there's apparently a ton of them. Blizzard did use the number 1,000. I don't know how much I believe them, but when you go to one of these islands, you will be able to play through very different scenarios depending on what has spawned. And I think that's cool. That's kind of like a lot of replayability, and I think it'd be really neat to be able to say, a month after Island Excursions is a thing, to be like, I've never done the same one twice. It has always felt different. I think that would be a really, really neat thing to do. But here's the kicker. There are ranging difficulties on this. So, you have...
Well, one little thing first.
Rude.
Even on all these difficulties, you're not alone on the islands.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because this is a race. I was going to get to that when I got to the PvP difficulty, but I'll do it now. Spoil sport. No, but...
well, but it works on all the difficulties.
It's true. Basically, the opposite faction's going to show up around the time you do, and you're racing them to get as much Azurite as you can out of it. The beauty of this is you can do it on normal, heroic, mythic, and then you can do it on PvP, which is what I'm looking forward to, because the idea is that, you could be killing each other on the beach for as long as you want. Sure, it'd be fun, whatever. And they could have 3 healers and you could have 3 tanks, and it'll be a stalemate. But the exciting part is that that's not the objective. The objective is to get as much Azurite as you can, which you don't get by killing them. You get by slowing them down, sneaking up and grabbing something before they do, finding a certain part of the island before they do, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that it's not the objective, but PvP is a big factor for that setting. What the hell was I about to... So we're looking at PvP on the island excursions, and I just had a huge brain fart. And
what was the point? Some
make?
little other things while he tries to remember what he's going to say.
Where are my marbles?
The goal was role agnostic. So, like he said, you could be 3 tanks, and the other team could be 3 healers. That's true for normal, heroic, mythic PvP. Like, you can go in with whatever setup you want. You can be 3 feral druids if you really want to. And the other thing is that they kind of want these versions between 15 and 20 minutes.
But what if you're not big on PvP? How is this going to be different from, doing normal scenarios and being able to just trump the other team constantly because they're just dumb NPCs. Well, Blizzard has kind of unveiled a new type of AI that is, I've heard it described as player mirroring or whatever. It basically takes the playstyle of a player and turns that into an AI program, and it becomes what you expect. The way that they have described it is, rather than a horde NPC, if you're on the alliance, some horde NPC coming up and attacking you, it's going to be like they're going to be going for the objective, see that you might be getting a little closer, and the rogue might just run up, sap you, and run away and not attack you, and just, try to play the objective a little more. Or they might get on your healer and try to kill your healer, which to me tells me that one, taunt won't work, which is kind of necessary for role agnostic, and two, that this is going to be a different experience, at least from what we get from other NPCs. So I'm also interested to see what this is going to be like to play against a computer. Not just PvP, but maybe it will be fun to play against a computer. I also wonder though, and this is kind of going to take us on to the next topic. I also wonder though, if they're going to implement this kind of AI into the war fronts they have planned. So war fronts is something that we have not talked about. Basically, war fronts are a 20-man raid that are going to occur not bi-weekly, maybe not bi-weekly, could be bi-weekly, but on a more regular schedule than, say, like specifically Wrath of the Lich King time walking, because that's like 2 months apart, 2 to 3 months apart. So, what we're looking at happening is, say, it's the first week of January, and the first warfront comes up, and it's, you've been gathering some type of supplies that you can take into that warfront and spend on getting buildings, upgrading buildings, and producing units to fight for you. Because what it is supposed to be taking the RTS style and bringing it to your level and being able to be on the battlefield of the RTS. The first map that they have discussed is in Arathi Highlands. It is going to be Stromgarde Keep versus Stromgarde Keep versus the Horde, because basically I believe the Alliance are trying to rebuild Stromgarde Keep and the Horde are trying to basically thwart them and kill them there, and from their outposts they have there. And there's been there's been images that have suggested other locations of war fronts. One of them is Gilneas. Another one is over in Kalimdor, Stone Talon Mountains, where they have the lumber thing set up for the Horde. So, and the Alliance trying to thwart them there. So, to me, I think the war fronts is one of the things I am most excited about. It looks so fun.
It's interesting now. It's 20 player. This is the unfortunate current, or maybe fortunate, unfortunate, whatever you want to say. It is 20 player versus NPC, so it is PvE content.
Yeah.
But they talked about it how it would be in phases. So you'd have your resource gathering phase, then you'd have your build phase, attack phase. So it's very traditional RTS feel. I don't know if it's going to be like all 20 players are going to be doing individual quests, or if all 20 players are going to go out as a group to get all the materials to build stuff initially. It'll be interesting. Or if it's going to take, they haven't said if this is going to be an instance thing. Well, it's 20 players, so it is instance. It's going to be like a short term or a long term thing. And right. I'm curious to see this kind of stuff. Like,
how long will each battle take? Yeah.
Like, are we talking like, okay, this is a raid replacement thing. So instead of doing raid night this week, we're going to do this, and it's going to take 4 hours. Right. Or is it going to be like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour?
Right. That we could do after or before raid,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm definitely curious about how long it's going to take. I'm personally, if it's something that is meant to replace raid night, cool. Because having more content that we could do on that scale, like Blizzard hasn't even tried that ever. Yeah. It's always been, the biggest scale we've got is raids. And so to bring
coming from the RTS side, knows how many times, like if it's going to be one of those things where you have to attack multiple times, like you're like, oh shit, this attack failed. fall back. Let's grab more
Right.
resources. Let's build more. Let's upgrade more and try again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
Or
of
if you're going to end up splitting your party into like 5 groups and like, okay, this group with their tank go and attack with this squadron. It's going to be, there's so much more that you can do with it.
yeah.
It's
Oh
just
my-
thinking about it makes me so excited. I mean, it's
This is-
they teased us with this. They
oh,
did not.
I know.
They did not
We
give
didn't
us
give
enough
enough.
information.
They did not give
But
us enough.
man, just thinking about it, I grew up on Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, StarCraft, and StarCraft 2, and so I love the RTS genre. And just thinking about bringing down into the real world where you've got players versus like those armies, the armies of that scale, it's just going to be so fun.
Some of the things I'm curious about is, will we be able to command these troops? You know, like, are you going to be able to assign people in your raid as maybe generals, commanders, whatever? Even if, like, thinking about if there could be a Navy level, you know, if like you've got captains for your boats, you know, like, are you going to be assigning roles to your raid to be like, okay, you know, you get every troop you recruited is going to be a part of your squadron, and maybe that's all of us. Maybe everybody who gets recruited will be under your command, and you have
maybe
everybody you
it's- yeah.
recruit.
Or you're specifically recruited, like, oh, you turned in the resources to recruit these troops
Right.
or build these troops. You're the commander of them. You have to control.
Right.
Now, hopefully, if that is the case, I would hope that there's a system in place to pass lead off to other people. Because if you've got one guy who's really
Who's
good at the
hogging
tactical
the
side,
resources. Yeah.
or one guy who's hogging the resources, that you can spread it out. It's definitely going to be a cooperative required thing, though, and
Yeah.
they haven't. But I look forward to seeing more information as the expansion comes closer.
I will say, I love the idea of being in a big battle. You know, Arathi Basin felt like a big battle a long time ago, whenever everybody would actually fight at the field of strife. But this sounds like it's going to be much, much bigger, and
Oh, yeah, no,
because
it's
of the
like
amount of NPCs.
I'm picturing like the brawl that was a couple weeks ago, Armil. Like
Well-
that felt like a massive battle, and now I'm picturing that with NPCs and even stuff.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And it's just going to be great. Like you players who have those AOE class,
Yeah.
like,
It's-
oh, watch me chain lightning the massive group of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't know if
it's
that
gonna
may
be
be a
great.
bit too much to scale, but yeah, it's got me excited.
I
It's
will
definitely,
say, my fear with it is that they are in over their heads and wanted something else they could present as part of the expansion, and I'm worried that we won't end up seeing war fronts and that it's going to be one of the ideas that gets abandoned. And the reason I'm worried is because of how little they have told us about it, and even when asked
Yeah.
about it, they couldn't really give us more information, and a lot of that's because they don't know, you know, and it becomes pretty obvious sometimes when they don't know. So it's kind of worrying, but you know, hopefully Blizzard really funnels a lot of effort into this to make sure that, you know, this system gets where it needs to be in time, because
their big challenge is not going to be developing the systems, because the systems are in place. They made StarCraft, they made Warcraft. They know how to build it from that perspective, and the game is, I mean, perspective. Like, you're just changing where the camera is at that point. The problem is, you're no longer dealing with one player controlling one army. You're dealing with 20 players who have to control an army, and that's where it's going to. I'm interested to see how it breaks down.
and I think
Or is it, or are they going to have to abandon the C part, and it's just going to be your 20 players are sieging a massive force?
yeah,
Even that would be fun,
yeah, well,
if not a very interesting type of play style. But we'll see.
yeah, I definitely.
I think we're starting to cross into that speculatory side of things.
I mean, it's definitely going to be it's going to be an experiment for Blizzard to put this out there, and I'm glad they're doing it. You know, I want to see Blizzard kind of taking more risks and, you know, trying to bring us new ideas, because every time they strike gold, it's huge. You know, every time they implement something that's truly new and is, you know, kind of just something that was so unexpected, it is huge. So, and when it is successful, man, is it good content. I mean, man. So hopefully this works out. Hopefully it ends up becoming successful, and hopefully it's everything we hope it is. I'm not particularly holding my breath at this point, but I am going to be keeping an eye on it to see if there's going to be any good information to be coming out for the war fronts. I think it's also important to point out that something I forgot to mention whenever we were talking about the zones we're going to be leveling in. Part of our objective on the islands, because this is a very, very heavy Horde versus Alliance themed expansion, if nobody's picked up on it yet. Something I didn't mention is that throughout the islands of Kultiris and Zandalar, we are going to be building our own outposts. Now, this was something that was glossed over. I mean, it was like, yeah, we'll be building up outposts as we move along. And the question I have is like, is this going to be like building up outposts like we did in Warlords of Draenor, where we get a buff from them and like we pick between this kind of outpost and that kind of outpost? I wasn't against that system per se in Warlords of Draenor. I thought it was kind of fun to be like, this is my place that I picked out. But like, it's also like Blizzard does not do customization, so like there's not going to be any real attachment. So.
Now, you want it to be similar to that. I'd like it to be something that it's more for, there's probably some minor PvE impact, but that gives you a playground for world PvP.
Yes. I think
that's
that would
what
be
I want to see. I want to see, again, like I had said last week, PvP zones like Outland had, where you have a zone. They never really got too crowded, but the concept of having a barracks that you can capture by you've got more of your faction in the area as possible. So I think there was one other thing before. It seems like we're starting to branch into the speculatory side of things.
And I want to do that really quick because I have an idea.
Before we get there, I've got one thing that we glossed over, and this was very brief that they talked about it during the opening ceremony, but they do want to continue with hero storylines, kind of like how we followed Illidan's story throughout all of Legion. So they did mention that they were going to cover some of what Thrall's story, what he's been doing, what Jaina Proudmoore's been doing since Legion and her story. And then the big ones, Sylvanas Windrunner, her story and going into this, and especially with that opening cinematic, how it seems that she's finally started to step in and realize that I am the leader of the Horde. I need to step up, kind of like Vol'jin said that he saw the Loa speak to him. And then two, Anduin, he is obviously struggling with the mantle of leadership and all the responsibility. As again, with the cinematic, they captured so much emotion with every character's face. If you haven't seen it,
it's on right now. With sound.
You need to
get
catch it with sound. You can check it on Blizzard's YouTube channel. It is amazing. It will invoke emotion. It will bring you back to when you first had to choose Alliance or Horde, and it will rekindle those bonds. You will be sitting there shouting, "Look, Targa!" or whatever the Alliance say.
Oh my God, Fey.
I'm terrible. Anyway, Bray, I'll let you continue on.
It's a great cinematic. It's definitely one of my favorites so far. But as far as going with speculation again, I was just now thinking about kind of like drawing conclusions, going full circle, and thinking about war fronts, and thinking about maybe there's a resource that we ourselves build up between war fronts, and this is playing on to being able to choose to be on PvP because they could make this a world PvP feature. If you think of each zone as like a Dota map in a way, where you can donate these resources that you could otherwise use for war fronts, and you can summon some NPC troops that will leave from your outpost and head towards your opposing faction's outpost, and then you can go with them and attack that opposing outpost. And if they're smart AI, you can actually stand a chance of not just dying immediately, and maybe draw some attention to that battle and get some other people to do the same thing and have a big battle in the zone. And I think because that is what makes world PvP shine, is when you have a big zone battle.
They've talked about like the rule set being wrong. They realized the rules, the world PvP hasn't changed since 2005, and they're like, with the whole changing of servers, I think they've got their eye on the system. My speculation and hope is that they come with a good way of notifying. Because if I want to do PvP, and there's a big battle going on, I need to know about it. I want to know, like, yeah, you've got the so and so town is under attack spam, but it's usually like one guy. Like I want
isn't good enough.
I want some more. I want some better stuff. Like my favorite, like I said in my my introduction, like we created our own global channel back when servers weren't mega servers, and we had people know about it. So if they were attacked, we could come and help them, and that started a lot of massive world PvP battles. So that's the kind of stuff that if they're looking at the systems for world PvP, I'm really hopeful that they'll add some sort of way to kind of find the battles or give us something to fight over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've lost a lot of that. Like even like the last time there was anything to really fight over was, I'd say, Winter's Grasp. And even that.
I would definitely like to see some PvP world quests that aren't like the towers, but more like, take an actual town, an actual in-game town, like, Ashtravar is, and like, I guess more recently, whatever town in Legion there is now, Husvald, or no, the one next to it, the one in Stormheim with the one tower. There's a lot less towns in Legion than there are other places. But what I'm getting at, Thunder Totem, there we go. Take Thunder Totem, and, if you're on the Horde, you have to kill the leader of Thunder, or if you're on the Alliance, you have to kill the leader of Thunder Totem. If it was a Horde town anyways. That's the goal of that world quest, kill the leader of Thunder Totem. And so, yeah, you probably can't do that by yourself. You might be able to do it with 5 people. You might be able to do it as a group, even give it, the option to do it as a raid. I think that would be really cool. And even, and this is something I've mentioned, maybe to you, Faye, I don't remember, but if you could have it set so that it's like, yeah, you basically go and, like, you see that our spies have indicated that Anduin is not at Stormwind, but right now he's got, like, a second command Bob in the charge, so go kill Bob, and, like, that's the world quest, because Stormwind doesn't have its leader. We can go and have a better success of like destroying the city or ransacking the city and killing somebody of importance to Anduin, and that would be a cool world quest, and that's a raid world quest, So, and that's the thing is like the beauty of world quests being natural, and being able to just go onto the beauty of PvP, world PvP being natural, and just being able to go onto a world PvP server like that, going over and taking a major city may not really require you to be in a raid because there might already be enough people over there doing it. And if it phases well enough, you'll just jump in with a bunch of people already attacking Stormwind and maybe even sitting in the throne room waiting for the guy to spawn again so they can kill him. Who knows? But, that kind of makes PvP occur organically, but it nudges the hand a little bit to
and even
give
if
you a reason to do it.
That extreme, like, even if it doesn't go to that extreme, like, instead, like the problem with Legion World PvP quests, other than like the brawls, which I did love, is there were always people there. Where you go to Warren, like it's like, oh, go attack this Warren Tower, but the other faction never had the same world quest at the same time at the same location.
Yeah,
that would have made actual world PvP. Like, no, you have to go to the same. Like this world quest is both factions have to attack it, and it's a flagged PvP zone. Like that it's not natural PvP, like it's not natural at that point, but you're forcing it, and maybe that's what you need to do if you want to get people actually rekindled. Now, I will say that just the expansion theme alone should help rekindle the world PvP, like the random attacking of people.
It
lit
a fire under my ass.
Yeah, because like you've got the with hell at the end of Warlords, in Ashran, which, as we've said, is not really world PvP, you saw Alliance and Horde cooperating and trading events off because it was easier and more efficient.
Yeah,
that shit can't happen.
Yeah, we all know who did that, but that's not good PvP design. The idea of PvP is to engage other players, not make it so non-PvPers are able to participate and pretend they PvP'd. And I think next weekend we're gonna have quite a long conversation, or next Sunday we're gonna have quite a long conversation about PvP because we're gonna have a very special guest on the show who's a good friend of ours, and he happens to race for Gladiator every season, so he knows more about the dynamics of PvP and comps and shit than I do, at least. So it's one of those, but to wrap up the world PvP discussion here, yeah, it's been dismal, and I really like that with this expansion they're looking to set the foundation for a lot of things. We're looking at getting the foundation for viable world PvP out there, and I'm hoping it works out. I would love to be able to log on, and somehow be notified that yeah, they are kicking the piss out of Zandalar right now, and we need as many people here as we can get to try to fight them back, and just be like, yeah, let's do it, and know that there's going to be people that are fighting back, and not just me, not just me being like, I'll be the hero of the horde, 60 alliance characters kill me.
That gets you instant killed.
Yeah, exactly. So people
they've been. And I know there people are critical of how little PvP there was, but I think Blizzard is taking a very cautious approach with PvP after the shitstorm that Warlords was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They realize that they can't make major changes; they have to kind of tease out the changes.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else is there to talk about?
Want to talk about the Antaurus news we got?
So we've got at this point, it is the closest thing to having a confirmed date that we're going to get without it coming straight from Blizzard. We've had a few sources, Realm Maintenance as well as RoWow, both said they talked to J. Allen Breck, who is the executive producer, who stated the date for Antaurus Burning Throne was going to be November 28th.
I feel like J. Allen Breck, that sounds familiar. Was he the guy who said, you think you do, but you don't?
I do not recall. I just know he's the executive producer of the game. So.
I think he is, because... No, yeah, he was. He was the guy who said, whenever that guy was like, oh, can we get, like, vanilla servers? And he was like, you think you want that, but you don't. And then, like, he had to come out and eat crow and tell us that you think you want that, and you did.
I'm gonna laugh, though, if he ends up being right in the future. Where a lot of the people who, yeah, we want it. Okay, fine. Here, have it. Okay, we didn't actually want this. We wanted this that the private server does differently. Yeah. Well, this is vanilla. This is true vanilla. This isn't what I remember at all.
And if
I know there are there's parts of vanilla that I love, but there's so much of it that I don't. That I will not dedicate too much time when they do release legacy servers, which was one of the things they announced.
Yeah, it's my favorite flavor of ice cream is apparently vanilla. No, it's not, but it's funny though, because whenever, so if you didn't see the opening ceremony, this was one of the first things they announced for World of Warcraft, and he was basically he's like, I want to take a break to talk about ice cream, and like I thought when he was going through that, I was like, he is just stalling. Like, he is basically just making us.
The teleprompter broke. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I didn't know what he was doing. I was just like, what is this? He's just like, and I thought it was just building suspense for the expansion announcement. What he was trying to do. And like, as soon as he goes, but your favorite flavor is vanilla, I was like, no, like, no way. And I lost my mind. I couldn't believe that they're actually coming out with legacy servers. It's just the principle of it. I couldn't believe that they're going to be coming out with legacy servers. That is absolutely nuts.
Yep. They must see that there's some money there somehow.
There's definitely money there.
Well, the question is how they're going to make the money. Are they just going to be? Is it going to tack onto your regular subscription? You're going to have to pay an extra subscription. We've got there's a lot of questions there, but they all they did with that was that teaser. So we've got the waiting game to play on that as well.
Yeah, we no idea when it's coming out, no idea how it's going in the process or anything. All we know is that Blizzard has plans to do it. Sometimes plans go awry, everybody. So, but this is something that they should be able to pull off without too much trouble.
Especially, they should realize that if they don't, after doing that big announcement, they will
going to
lose.
be hell to pay.
Yeah, there's going to be
hell to pay.
And I'm sure that we're going to start seeing people clamoring for more information soon on all the Twitter sphere.
Oh, they are.
All the forums.
They already are.
Yeah. I'm trying to tune it out as much as possible.
You just gotta, I mean, it's all just a waiting game at this point for the legacy servers, for the new expansion. There's going to be news. I sincerely hope Blizzard gives me beta so that I can get in there and start streaming the beta for this as soon as possible and making videos and stuff so that everybody can start to see what it looks like. We'll see. Hopefully Fey gets beta so I can play with them. Dear Blizzard
I'll probably get it first now.
Yeah, there we go. Dear Blizzard Santa Claus, please send me and Faye a copy of beta for Battle for Azeroth.
if it can be like, I got beta for Heroes of the Storm, I got beta for Overwatch, and I submitted bug reports. Please, Blizzard.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually played your betas.
Hey, I did it for Legion, man. Like, I try to be very diligent about submitting feedback because I'm always going to want beta. Like, it's how I am. I will say, though, as far as, because I do kind of want to touch on at least speculation for a release date for the legacy servers. Personally, I'm expecting a big content drought in Legion before Battle for Azeroth, and my logic says they wouldn't have announced legacy servers at the BlizzCon, or 2 BlizzCons before they release legacy servers, because this isn't like new content that they can give exciting updates on. This is just like, yeah, it's vanilla WoW and it will go live at this time, you know, and like, yeah, they could tell us, you know, what iteration of vanilla WoW, how they plan to, you know, release the patches from vanilla, or if they do plan to, they could give us that kind of information.
Yeah,
but that's,
or we could be,
that's like, why waste the time kind of thing when they could be giving us information on what's coming in the next patch, what's coming in the next expansion. So I think that we are going to, after Antorus, have ourselves one hell of a content drought. And at the next BlizzCon, we will probably still be hearing about Battle for Azeroth and maybe even the release date for it at that point. And yeah, I know it sucks. It's scary.
No, I've got different, because based on the assets we've seen, I'm thinking like it's coming out before that BlizzCon next year, and Legacy is going to be during the content drought of Battle for Azeroth.
It's possible, man. It's definitely possible. I mean, I hope we get Battle for Azeroth sooner than next BlizzCon. But
well, because we're already expecting with Antorus coming out November 28th, we're expecting at least 6 to 7 months of that raid tier before an even possible date for a next expansion, based on like how they've released expansions in the past and time of year that they have released them. So
I know that either way, there's a lot of good stuff in the future. It just might take some time to get there. The start of Battle for Azeroth is going to be, they said that it's going to be similar to the Broken Shore event, only it's going to be the Horde versus the Alliance at Lordaeron. And that's, to me, going to be, I'm very excited for that scenario, because we're looking at having 20 people, get together, go into that scenario, battle against the Horde, or battle against the Alliance, and just how that plays out is going to be exciting. Spoiler alert, say goodbye to the Undercity, because it's going down. So that's and also say goodbye to Teldrassil, because it's going.
Now it's going to be interesting, because we're currently, all the speculation that's happening is who struck first. I think it's probably going to be they're going to attack the Undercity first, and as in retaliation will burn down the World Tree.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that.
The other speculation is, do we win do we actually win the battle, but it's realized to be such a poorly defended location that they just have to pull back, or does the Alliance push through because to me it doesn't make sense that if the Alliance pushes through when they're kind of trapped backs against the wall, how are we going to get them to out? Because we know that that Sylvanas is going to last for a while in the expansion because they talked about doing a hero storyline. You can't really do a hero storyline when you get rid of the person the storyline's about in the first 10 minutes of the game.
That's a good point.
So I'm interested to see how they kind of do those things.
It's going to be an interesting scenario.
Yeah, no, I just hope that they're probably going to again tweak it for each side, so each side sees something different. Just to fan the flames, kind of like how the Alliance were stupidly misled to believe that. And if you played a rogue during Legion, you realize that set up by the
Yeah.
So, or not the Dreadlords, not Void Lords. So yeah, the Void Lords came and tweaked Jaina's mind.
Yeah. No, but
So
yeah, there is a lot that is going to be happening, and I'm very excited for all of it. But I think I've run out of things to say. Finally,
I think I have hit that limit as well, without repeating myself or making an ass of myself. So
yeah, I think this is where we're going to have to end tonight, everybody. We ran over by a lot, but there was a lot to talk about from BlizzCon. And let me know what you guys think of the song for the intro. It's kind of silly, but, made it in a day, so it's fun. I've been Brayole.
I've been Fey.
And this has
And
been
this
No Loot
was No
Sundays.
Loot Sundays.
And I'm going to play the song on the way out, too, because fuck you guys, I worked hard on it.
Alright, it seems the boss is dead.
Thanks
We're
for
just
watching,
gonna go ahead
everybody.
and distribute the loot here.
Some teeth now.
There's no loot. I repeat, there is no
So you
loot.
wanted some loot, huh?
Yeah.
Want some loot?
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna have to wait till next week. No loot, no